So here's an apology.
Do we all leave the teams running? I think so, just if he joins.
Staff, guests and members of the public to the ordinary council meeting of 19th of June 2024. I declare the meeting open at 5:32. The City of Busselton acknowledges the Wadandi and Bibbulmun people as the traditional custodians of this region and pays respects to elders past and present, and welcome to all those members in the gallery. This meeting is being audio recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being live streamed on the City of Busselton YouTube channel. The prayer this evening will be read out by Reverend Stephen Van Schalkwyk. How did I go at pronouncing that? From the Bay Life Uniting Church. Welcome, Reverend. Would you like to come up?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, council members and guests. Please join me in prayer. Creator God, we live in a beautiful city with wonderful people and enormous potential. Thank you for those whose wisdom and integrity have nurtured health, well-being and sustainability. Thank you for good leadership and service which have provided safe community and genuine compassion. We pray for those whose leadership affects the life of our city, for our mayor, for our deputy mayor, for each councillor and their families. Thank you for the efforts of all supporting staff and volunteers who make this city a healthy, welcoming, prosperous place. Inspire each with a vision of this community as it may be, where love of neighbour and concern for one another drive out discontent and need. As this council serves the common good, may they minister to people in despair or danger, and so may joy and opportunity be multiplied throughout the greater Southwest. May each resident of our city diligently work to support and promote what is beautiful, right, and true. May our resources be utilized in ways that benefit rather than divide hearts, and may we actualize the potential that has been gifted to us. Through Christ we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Stephen. We understand if you need to leave, but you're welcome to stay. Thank you. I have attendances tonight from Councillors Craig, Richards, Cox, Love, McNish, and Kennedy, and apologies from Councillors Cronin and Beecroft. I have no approved leaves of absence, no applications for leave of absence. And I'd just like to make an announcement tonight. I'm sure you've all read it in the newspapers or on the media, but the City of Busselton had some fantastic news and we won the top tourism town award for the state. And I would like to acknowledge our thanks because we've accepted the award on behalf of this community, a community of residents, businesses, community groups, volunteers and individuals who have contributed to the success of this award. Busselton will now go on to the national stage in September to compete against the other states. As you know, because you all live here, we have beautiful wines, food, magnificent coastlines, breweries and distilleries, and also a fantastic jetty. And I'll also extend my congratulations to local Josh Whiteland, who won an award for his Kumul Dreaming. So congratulations to Josh. Disclosures Disclosures of interest. I have Councillor Andrew McNish has disclosed a financial interest in item 13.1, management of public toilets, Dunsborough Park Shopping Centre. And Acting Director Trevor Ayres has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 13.1 of the same item, in accordance with Regulation 22 of the Local Government Model Code of Conduct Regulations 2021. These disclosures will be read out immediately before this item is discussed. Confirmation and receipt of minutes. Councillors, do I have a mover for the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 15th of May 2024? Councillor Love. Seconded, Councillor Richards. Are there any opposition? No opposition. All those in favour? The motion is carried 7-0. Do I have a mover for the minutes of the special council meeting held on the 1st of May 2024? Councillor Cagg. Seconded, Councillor Richards. Any opposition? All those in favour? 7-0. And finally, the minutes of the special council meeting held on 8th of May 2024. Do I have a mover for those minutes? Councillor Kennedy. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cagg. Any opposition? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried 7-0. Question time for the public. Responses to previous questions taken on notice. We have one question that was taken on notice at the ordinary council meeting of the 15th of May, the response to which has been provided in the agenda on page 10 and is now displayed on the screen. Question time for the public. We have not received any bookings for public question time. Are there any members of the public that would like to ask a question? Okay. Petitions. There have been no petitions received. Item 7.2, presentations by parties with an interest. Mr. Craig McConville, could you please come up?
Yep.
Craig, if you'd like to state your name and suburb.
My name is Craig McConville, live in Yallingup and owner-operator of Yallingup Coffee Roasting in Hannay Lane.
Thank you.
And that's
you have 5 minutes.
Great.
Go ahead.
Our location makes us see the traffic moving through the lane from Latchless Terrace and into Dunbay Road, so we seem to know the lane pretty well. For 23 years, we had no problems at all with movement of traffic. And then once the potted sewer plants were put into the lane, the problem started. We're in belief that the pots were there on an 18-month trial, and in frustration with the congestion, traffic jams, we organised a petition for the removal of the sewer pots, nothing else. We were hoping the review process we could sit down and talk about what could be changed, and soon realised there was no trial, and the pots are here to stay. 160 ratepayers of Dunsborough signed a petition, and none of the businesses along the lane were consulted or on the outcome. Now, we welcome all the changes in Dunsborough. I think they're great, but the pots just weren't working for us. The paint was great, the greening, the plants, it's really good. It's just was creating congestion, and there's no movement in the lane. On school holidays, summer was terrible, and Easter as well. Hannay Lane is a service lane, and 9 businesses have deliveries at all times, 7 days a week, and trucks do not come one at a time. They sometimes 4 trucks unloading. And with our petition, we submitted some photos of the congestion. Amazingly, the comment that come with that was that the cars were parked illegally and an earth-moving truck was unloading. That's false. The cars still have drivers in them, the motor's running, and the earth-moving truck was stuck in gridlock. All the cars had to reverse out for the whole thing to get unlocked. The second comment was parking on the side of the service lane is like parking in Queen Street on the pavement. Maybe parking in front of the Commonwealth Bank, but that doesn't make sense to us. It's a service lane. Late December, 7 small pots had been pushed together, creating a space on the west side adjacent to Tommy Bahama's. I can assure you, I or my staff did not do this. This cleared area allowed delivery trucks to park, unload, and did not stop in the middle of the lane, blocking traffic. There are laundry trucks, milk trucks, food trucks, 7 days a week. With the extra space, the traffic flowed all summer and Easter, and we had a really good summer. There was no problems at all, and it seems to be working really well. This area along the west side is where the council wants us to put the bins to be collected in the morning, and some of those businesses aren't opened until Thursday, so the bins stay there all day anyway, unless I move them. There was 3 options proposed for tonight's meeting. Remove pots and paint. Removing the paint doesn't make sense to us. We like the paint. Raise the footpath. That would be very expensive. I don't think it's needed. Make this one way. That we've already been through that and it wouldn't work. So the reason why I'm here, I'd like the council to consider an option 4 for a solution that costs nothing. Just remove the small bundle of pots that have been pushed up and we can put those in the park, in the limestone area where there's no colour, add a bit of colour. This would make sense to me anyway. Leave the cleared area facing Tommy Bahama's free for trucks to unload, and this will fix the problem. Costs no money, not a cent. Pedestrians do not use the pathway. They cross our area where we've got paths anyway. It also is safer for them as they don't have to walk behind the parked cars reversing out of the car park. Cyclists don't use the path as it is very narrow when the pots were there and there's a lot of tree roots. We would have preferred the Shire to come down and consult myself or the other 9 businesses along the lane. Then I would not have to be here today. Thank you for letting me speak tonight, and I hope you consider option 4. Thanks.
Just stay, thanks, Grace. Stay there. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Kennedy?
Yeah, thanks for coming in, Mr McConville. With option 4, my concern is just pedestrian access down Hannay Lane. How would you suggest that they just walk along the road if we were to get rid of the paint and the designated area for pedestrians? Yeah, so if we were to get rid of the pot plants and the painting area would still be the designated area for pedestrians, well, I guess, well, you don't see pedestrians, what you're saying, walking along that area, so you don't think it's viable where it is?
That area takes you down behind all the parked cars and the sharp corner where all the cars are coming. And most, I'd say most people are lazy and they always take shortcuts. And they just cut straight across the grassed area and keep going on to the other side or the park. Yep. Cyclists never use it because it's there's all tree roots through there and they've got to take the sharp corner with the cars reversing out. I'm there every day and I don't see anyone walking down there. They just walk straight across. We've got a big green area and it's a paved area and they use that area. It's just be the most quickest way if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, so you'd be supportive of an investigation in that area to do something better?
Look, well, just from my point of view, with those pots gone, there's only 6 of them. I want all the other pots to stay. They look good and it's working fine. It's just those 6 pots it's now made a space. It's made a space. We get a laundry truck next door to us every day and they roll off big cages full of laundry. Every day they pull up. We get the milk trucks coming, with the garbage truck coming. There's 9 businesses that have a lot of stuff going to them. They park there and then all the cars can move freely past.
Yep. Yeah, great. Well,
Yeah, had a great summer. The
Yep.
summer before we had a horrible summer.
yep. All right, thanks for that, Mr McConville.
Craig, can I ask a question, please? Why do you think the pots were moved? I think they were moved out of the place that they were. Why was that?
I think to create a space for trucks to park. People were fed up with hitting them, and that one particular area was quite tight, really quite tight. All the other pots coming down into Lane Across, there's probably about another 12, 15 pots.
And they're okay?
The petitions did state to remove those. We were frustrated at the time. Weirdly enough, those pots were bundled up, and we just realised now, hey, this just works now.
It works. Okay, I'm not sure that you're aware, but Councillor Craig has an alternate recommendation,
Okay, no, I don't know.
and it's basically to do 1, 2 and 3 of the officer's recommendation. Is that something that you would consider okay, or
I just think that the third one won't work. We've already been through that one. A raised footpath would probably cost the council, what, $100,000?
I think the rationale of having an investigation that the CEO, well, he won't do it personally, he'll hand it over, but I think that will address the issues in the petition.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what I would like to see, is to have a look at what all the issues are. I'm just wondering, though, whether the point 1 of reaffixing the pot plants to the original position would be something that you'd be comfortable with, or?
Oh, no, well, that's why I'm here, actually. I thought that was the most stupidest idea. Yeah,
Okay.
It just would wreck it again. It would just put it back to congestion, no one unloading. And the truck drivers, they just park in the middle of the road. They've got to do their job. And especially next door, with all their laundry they're getting put in there.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I have no deputations. Questions by members which due notice has been given. I have no questions. Councillors, adoption by exception resolution. I have items 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, 10.5, 10.6, 10.7, 10.8 and 18.1, and officer recommendation for items 13.2, 14.1 and 15.1 be adopted en bloc. Do I have an 18.1? Yeah, said that. Yep. Do I have a mover for those items? Councillor McNish. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kennedy. Is there any opposition? All those in favour? 7-0. Mr Packard, here, I'll give you notice now that your item was included in the en bloc resolution. Thank you for attending, and Paul's there too. Item 13.1, management agreement of the public toilets in Dunsborough Park Shopping Centre. I have financial interest from Councillor McNish and an impartiality from Acting Director of Economic Business, Trevor Ayres. Would you like to stand?
Them back on. I would like to declare an impartiality interest in item 13.1, as I have a niece leasing a premises and operating a business from within the Dunsborough Park Shopping Centre. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on this matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider the item solely on its merits and vote or act, well, in my case, act accordingly.
Thanks, Mr Ayres. Councillor McNish?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm disclosing I have a financial interest in item 13.1, the management agreement, public toilets, Dunsborough Park Shopping Centre, as I am closely associated with a tenant of the shopping centre.
Thank you, Councillor McNish. If you'd like to leave the room. Councillors, the officer's recommendation is before you. Do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cagg. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Love. Is there any opposition? All those in favour? That's 6-0. Is he gone? He's probably gone to use the toilet. He probably thought it was going to take longer than that. Thank you, councillors. I think we need to wait for him to return for the next item. Apologies, everyone. We'll just wait for our councillor to come back. He's missing in action. That item was approved 6-0, resolved 6-0. Councillors, the next item we have is 14.2, the CEO Performance Review Committee appointments. I need an absolute majority on this item. The officer's recommendation is before you. Do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Love. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kennedy. Is there any opposition to this? Councillors? Yep. Councillor Love, would you like to speak to the motion?
I'm supportive of the officer's recommendation as written, and that's all that I'd like to speak on the matter.
Councillor Kennedy, you're right. Would you like to speak?
I'll reserve my right.
Is there any speaker, so those that have asked to, that don't support it, would you like to speak against the motion? Councillor Cagg?
Sorry. At the first meeting of council, after this 2 yearly elections, councillors nominate and are appointed to various committees. Committee nominations and appointments are done in order to reduce the workload and need for all councillors to attend all committee meetings. Committee members have no delegated authority and make their recommendations to full council for endorsement by an absolute majority. On the 25th of October 23, the CEO Performance Review Committee was formed as per the term of reference for that committee, and Mayor Cronin, Councillor Cox, Councillor Richards were appointed, with Councillor Love as deputy. In February, it was reported that a vacancy needed to be filled with the resignation of Councillor Sue Rochelle, who at the time was recorded incorrectly as being a member. I nominated and via ballot was appointed. This was prior to the error being detected and made known to me. I believe the current term of reference for the Mayor and 2 council members with 1 deputy should remain in place at least until the conclusion of the term, being October 2025. Therefore, I ask that my resignation from the CEO Committee Review Committee be accepted and that Council remove me from the committee, leaving Mayor Cronin, Councillor Cock, Councillor Richards and Deputy Councillor Love to continue in their appointment role and their full term of committee until October the 25th. Thank you.
Speakers for? Speaker against?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I speak against and foreshadow an alternative, and that alternative would be for the council to now thank and cease the CEO Performance Review Committee for its 2023-24 efforts, and for a report to return to the council early in 2025 to consider the establishment of a new committee with terms of reference that include inviting all elected members to be members. And I do so because I firmly believe that all councillors forming the council have a responsibility to the council's sole employee, being the CEO. And it would only honour that relationship that all councillors be motivated and show interest in what probably would be, I would think, 3, maybe 4 meetings in a period between February and June. So I look forward to, I thank Councillor Craig for her efforts on the committee, and I'd like to see her be retained or retain herself come 2025 should the terms of reference be amended, changed to allow all councillors to be members of this very important committee. Thank you.
Councillor Craig, were you interested in foreshadowing an alternate?
Yes, my apologies, because I knew I forgot to say that I was foreshadowing an alternative when I first started to speak.
Is that enough? Or do you want the actual word? That's fine. Okay. Speaker for the officer recommendation? Speaker against? Councillor Kennedy, you right of reply. Oh, Councillor Richards.
Yes, I speak against the officer recommendation simply because it was an administrative error that saw me not participate in the CEO review committee. And what came of that was that during the process it was identified and then recognised that I was on the committee and that I could be a part of the decision making and the referral to council of recommendation. However, in that position, I then found that I simply didn't have enough information to be able to make those recommendations. It highlighted to me that without being on that committee and without being a part of those discussions, it made it very difficult to get all the information required to make a decision on this very important topic of supporting our sole employee that the council employs. And it's important that we get those decisions right in discussion and collaboration with the CEO, given his value to the organisation, the process that we went through to appoint our CEO and to ensure that he feels supported by council that understand that we work together alongside the CEO. Council and CEO should be in lockstep, and it's difficult for us to make those recommendations if we don't have all of the information that is privy to the committee members. We could argue that we could attend those committee meetings without being a member of the committee. However, we would then just be attending as members of the public, and that doesn't give us opportunity to ask questions that may be pertinent to the ongoing employment of our CEO. So it's for that reason that I'm not supporting the officer recommendation, and that I would support Councillor McNish's alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richards. Speaker for the officer recommendation. I think everybody's just about spoke now. Seconder, Councillor Kennedy, your right of reply.
This might be, can I, in my right of reply, speak against? Well, speak, does that make sense? But because I've moved second it, would I be speaking for it in my right of reply? Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Generally, closing the debate, you would be summing up what had happened, and if that had created a opinion in your mind in closing, you could go down that path, yes.
Yeah, okay. So in closing, yeah, I note that this is quite an important committee, and not a substantial amount of meetings. And through the process, I think it was important for me. I think setting those KPIs and having more time, I would have valued that. And I also don't think if other councillors are passionate about a committee, that they should be denied of the opportunity to get on those committees. So I will be voting against this one in favour of the foreshadowed alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Love.
Personally, I am still supportive of the officer's recommendation, just because having listened to the debate, I still do believe it is beneficial to have committees where not the whole council is sitting in on the committee meetings. I just personally find it to be more efficient on the workload. However, if Councillor McNish's alternative gets through, I would like to foreshadow an amendment that I would just like to highlight in my debate that aside from Councillor Richards, due to the administrational error, all other elected members have undergone their CEO Performance Review Committee training, and I'm sure Councillor Richards has probably teed up and lined up to do the next lot of training. I think it's in September. And I just do think that that definitely adds value to that committee, having undergone that training. However, if the rest of council is in agreement to being on the committee, I don't necessarily see any opposition over that either.
So, Councillor Love, you're speaking against as well?
It's a very neutral stance, I'd say.
So I'll put the motion. All those in favour of the officer's recommendation, which is that the council amend the CEO Performance Review Committee terms of reference to increase its membership to 4 elected members. All those in favour? 1. All those against? We've achieved the absolute majority. So that was 6-1. Lost 1-6.
So we've got 2 foreshadowed also.
Yes. Yes.
So technically Councillor Cake foreshadowed first. She can move her motion if she still wishes to.
Councillor Craig, would you like to move your alternate?
Point of order.
Point, yes. Councillor Craig? Thank you.
Sorry, Madam, my understanding was that during debate, the foreshadowing of an alternative is to be considered if and when that proposed motion is lost. The proposed motion was lost, and I foreshadowed in debate an alternative. So why would you not ask me to now move my alternative? Because there was no other alternative moved in the debate.
Yeah, I'll just, bear with me.
As the presiding members have your discretion in which order. So I guess Councillor Kay didn't use the words foreshadowed alternative. It was clear from her arguments that she was, but I guess it's at your discretion whether you choose to accept that or if you take Councillor McNish's as the first version of foreshadowed alternative and then move to Councillor Kay.
I think that's the right thing to do. Thank you, Councillor McNish, for pointing that out. I will rule that your alternative came first because you put it up first. I think, Councillor Craig, apologies that you didn't actually read out that you were moving an alternative, you were just speaking against. So if Councillor McNish's motion for alternative recommendation gets up or is lost, you'll then have an opportunity. So Councillor McNish, if you'd like to speak to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not going to labour the point because it's reasonably obvious, but you would like me to move the words.
Councillor
Yes,
McNish, if you could actually read what it
I'll
is
read it
that you're...
again, thank you. Reading my scribble here. For the council to now thank and cease the CEO Performance Review Committee for its 2023-24 efforts and for a report to return to the council early in 2025 to consider the establishment of a new committee with its terms of reference that include inviting all elected members to be members. To be members, or would you like me to put to be members of the committee? Yeah, to be members of the committee.
And apologies, Councillor McNish, just to confirm that the council now thank and your motion is to disband the CEO Performance Review
Correct.
Committee?
Yep.
So disband as opposed to
That's right.
cease?
We need a reboot
Yep.
and a restart with the appropriate item coming to the council. I'm speaking to it now. Am I able to now commence speaking to it?
Could I just ask the CEO a question, please? In relation to training, is it possible to have a training body come down here and we all sit in on that training rather than we go up and, you know, at the expense of individuals doing that training, perhaps?
Yes, Madam Chair, that if you were running all elected members through that training, that would be also my suggestion. I think it would be the most cost-effective way of delivering the training.
So would we need to add something in that?
I believe that would probably happen post this financial year, so you'll be able to cover that in through the training budget. We can cover that.
Would you like Councillor McNish to add that into that? Okay. Yep, so that's fine.
That's fine.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry, could I just seek clarification, Mr CEO? By disbanding this, this committee at this stage, does this delay the process that we're currently going through at the moment?
Under the current process, possibly. However, the council's decision at the last meeting, special meeting, was around establishing a workshop to flesh out the KPIs with the full council. If this committee then no longer existed the full council would need to consider
need to make that
the
decision.
results of that workshop. So it
Okay.
probably replaces what the committee would have done,
Right.
which then would have referred it to the council. So
Right.
it goes, it would be straight to the council would be how I'd see
Okay.
that this would run.
Fabulous,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. So councillor McNish, are you happy with the words on the screen?
I did, I'm not sure if it's a technicality, but I did mention to thank and cease the CEO Performance Review Committee for its 2023-24 efforts. And request CEO provider. Okay, yeah.
All good?
Happy to progress.
Happy to progress.
Thank you. Yes.
You've moved it. We need a seconder.
Sorry?
Councillor Richards.
Just to confirm as well, this will be an absolute decision if we get to that.
Once again, we need an absolute majority
Sure.
for this. Councillor McNish, proceed.
Thank you. It is a very important committee, as Councillor Kennedy notes. You know, arguably, I think, probably the most important, but I mean, the Audit Risk Committee's right up there. And I do really feel that we all have an obligation to our sole employee to show an interest and get the training, which is great learning, because the CEO's performance is a motivating, and contract is a motivating document for him. It's a public document as well. So we need to be ensure the public that we have, addressed our good governance requirements. And the bulk of the work, I think, because we typically outsource the review process, is in the setting of the new KPIs, which we have a workshop to do, and that would be the main task of this new committee. So having had our training and having had the experience of sitting through the workshop to establish the new KPIs will be a very good step up in the performance of this committee, whereas over the years, over the last 5, 6, 7 years in the process, it was acknowledged that it probably wasn't as comprehensive as it should have been, which is why it was noted how comprehensive this year was, but still we ran short of time. So having everyone to be part of the committee would be come back in the terms of reference. The council will then make its call, I think, early next year when the report comes back. There are some issues in the current terms of reference which I've flagged that need to be have wording changes anyway to make it more facilitative of a contractor to come in, a consultant to come in and do some of that work. And I finally want to thank Councillor Craig and for her efforts. I hope she doesn't resign, or if this gets through, she doesn't need to, of course. But then I look forward to her having input to the committee, as I do all the other councillors, next year when it probably convenes for the first time, probably around February or something like that. So I commend this to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillors McNish. Seconder, Councillor Richards, do you wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there any speakers against? Councillor Craig?
I'm speaking against for the same reason. It is important to understand that the CEO Performance Committee should not act in a manner that might hamper or restrict other council members actively and effectively contributing to the performance review process. Thus, in the case of the current CEO review, still to be finalised, every council member was given the opportunity of input into the methodology and time frame by way of selection and appointment of the preferred professional consultant for the purpose of facilitation. Every council member had one-on-one time with the facilitator, purpose of which was made known prior to the meeting, to raise any issues and have input into the wording of the KPIs presented for consideration or changes. Can the appointed committee learn from this year's review process? Absolutely. And we'll have the year to discuss and brainstorm with other council members throughout our ECM meetings and prior to their 2 monthly committee meetings by reporting where they are at going forward. I believe this is the best done by smaller numbers of committee members as per current terms of reference. Therefore, ask for you to vote against this motion, and I would put foreshadow another motion that I be allowed to resign, the committee remove me from this committee, and the term of reference remains unchanged. Thank you.
So we're debating Councillor McNish's intentions. So she's foreshadowed in her alternative. So if this is lost, then Councillor Kate. She's not foreshadowing the officer recommendation, she's foreshadowing an alternative, which is that she's removed from the committee.
Right, okay. Thank you for that. Speakers for? Councillor Kennedy?
Can I ask a question to the CEO?
Sure.
Mr. Noddle, I think Jody might have asked the same question, but where does that leave us at the moment? Where to do a workshop for the KPIs, and then we want to finalise this process. Would that just go straight to council now that we don't have a committee?
Yes, so if Councillor McNish's proposal gets up, you will no longer have a CEO Performance Review Committee, and that responsibility would then lie with the full council, so with the council. We would still, as per the previous resolution, still need to hold that workshop, establish the KPIs. They would then come back to the council for consideration/endorsement.
Okay, so it's not going to hold up that process, this motion?
No.
All right,
No.
Thank you.
Speakers for? Speakers against? Councillor Cox?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll just speak very briefly. I think it's great to say that you would like the full council to be on this committee. However, I think we also need to respect the fact that there are a number of councillors who don't wish to be on this committee, and I think compelling them to be a part of a committee that they don't really want to be on is difficult. So I would say perhaps think about respecting the fact that some people want to be on some committees and some people don't. And therefore I'll be voting against this motion. Thank you.
Speakers for? Speakers against? Councillor Richards as the seconder, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cagg and Councillor Cox for your comments. My understanding is that the opportunity would be there for all councillors to be a part of this committee. However, it wouldn't be compulsory to attend. But I also do just want to reiterate that I found a gap in my own learning when I came to be on the committee and attend and be needing to make decisions, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you haven't had the training to be able to be on this committee, then it makes it very difficult to get your head around everything that you need to do. It's a great opportunity for councillors to have that education and learning and to understand the importance of our role in terms of assisting our CEO to perform the duties that he needs to perform. I think we need to be trained appropriately for that, and I found personally that was a gap for me, and probably led to some of the decision making from last week, which is not a bad thing, but I would certainly hope that all councillors would have opportunity to do the training to make sure that they can effectively set KPIs that are appropriate and realistic and in collaboration with our CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richards. Councillor McNish, your right of reply, please.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yes, I firmly believe the current committee's role has concluded. Well done. We have a council-driven workshop to do, council resolution to do a workshop, and then the outcome of that workshop goes back to a council meeting, probably a special council meeting, to adopt, as it would have anyway. So my other point was that Councillor Richards is right. There is no councillors aren't compelled to attend. They are invited to be members of the committee. The terms of reference allow that. And if they don't have the interest, or for whatever reason, they don't attend. We have 2 people who aren't attending at a council meeting, yet the council meeting still goes on. That's why we have quorums and things just continue on. So there's no compulsion to attend if you don't want to. And I suggest that the attending is match day learning. That's attending the meeting is the chance to really learn. You can do your theoretical training. You can read the book, but it's nothing like being in the meeting and absorbing by osmosis what's going on. That's really good learning. And, of course, you can ask questions and benefit from all the other people who've had the experience and done the training. So, all in all, a very important committee. Everyone should be invited to be on. And I would think the CEO would be motivated to see all the councillors on. Of course, I can't speak for him, but I would like to think that way. Thank you very much.
This one, part 1 is an absolute majority, part 2 is a simple majority. You have the discretion if you want to put them separately. That might be.
I think so, yeah. Can we go back to it if it gets lost or not? No, go back.
So essentially for this one for part 1 to pass, it needs 5 votes for. For part 2 to pass, it only needs 4 votes for. So if you put them separately, you can just be clearer on whether it's carried or lost, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think we're going to carry it. So, yeah. Councillors, I put the motion. All those in favour of this motion? 1, 2, 3, 4. All those against? 4, 3. The motion is...
No, so that's not an absolute majority.
No, I
Absolute
know.
majority is 5, 4. So it's lost for them.
Councillors, it's lost due to the lack of an absolute majority.
So the motion being lost, we go to Councillor Craig for shadowed.
Councillor Craig, would you like to foreshadow your alternative?
As shown on screen, that the council, as requested of Val Craig, being myself, Councillor Craig, remove Councillor Craig from the CEO Performance Review Committee and adopt the current terms of reference of the 3, it's not written up there on the board, sorry, of the remain as is in the terms of reference. That the council, on request of Councillor Craig, remove Councillor Craig from the CEO Performance Review Committee and retain the current terms of reference for the CEO Performance Review Committee. And I ask that other members support my motion too.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cox?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Sorry.
Yeah. Is there any opposition to this? Councillor McNish? Councillor Craig, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
I think, as I had stated previously, it's important to understand that the CEO Performance Committee should not act in a manner that might hamper or restrict other council members actively and effectively contributing to the performance review process. This is what took place in the current, with the current performance review, where every councillor had the opportunity to have input with a professional facilitator. It was a process that we can learn from. It was, I believe, carried out correctly. But because I was an extra to the committee through error, I believe that the current members in Mayor Cronin, Councillor Cox and Councillor Richards, with Deputy Love, should remain as the committee members, and that they should continue the current process that's in place. So, as I remove what the alternative recommendation is on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. Councillor Cox, do you wish to speak?
I'll reserve my right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Speakers against? Councillor McNish.
Madam Chair, I speak against because unfortunately we're 2 councillors down tonight, which makes it difficult to get an absolute majority, and give notice that I'll be seeking to re-inject my alternative when there are more councillors in the chamber. So on that basis, I encourage you to vote against, and so this won't achieve the absolute majority, and we can have another go at it when more people are here. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers for? Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm going to speak for this, just in light of, I think, the performance review can get cracking, we can get, its job done, and at a later date, we can review whether, we want to look at changing this committee. But we've got until 2025 to do that. Let's just keep this simple and get on with the job. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against?
Thank you. I won't labour on the point. I just want to reiterate that without the training, it's very difficult to actually be able to make informed decisions, and I think we need the training to be able to do it. Yes, we could wait till 2025, but we have an opportunity to do it now without it affecting the CEO's current performance review. So the workshop, the coming to council, it's all going to end up the same, whether we have the committee or not. And I think that this is an opportunity that we could grasp, and as Councillor McNish said, it's difficult to get an absolute majority with 2 councillors missing. But for that reason, I'm voting against.
Any more speakers for? Speaker against? I'm actually just going to quickly speak. Councillor Kennedy, I'm a little bit unsure of what it is you're saying that we need to do to get the job done. The council can decide anything now, and in fact the full council has to decide anything that emanates out of any of these committees. And I agree with Councillor Richards that training is important, and moving forward I think that it is something that all councillors should be aware of, since this is our only employee, and we need to be aware of all the knowledge in the room that we can glean off through training and through our individual experiences. Thank you. Councillor Craig. We've had the seconder. Sorry, who seconded the motion? It was Councillor Cox. Would you like to speak?
No, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll reserve my right.
Thank you. Councillor Craig, would you like to close?
I'll just close, but by saying also, in concurring with Councillor McNish, that no decision is going to be made tonight. I would ask for support. I hope I'd get enough support, but with 2 councillors missing, this may not eventuate.
I put the motion. All those in favour of the alternative recommendation in front of you that the council, on request of Councillor Craig, remove Councillor Craig from the CEO Performance Review Committee and retain the current terms of reference for the CEO Performance Review. All those in favour? All those against? That motion is lost due to the want of an absolute majority.
Yep, that's right. So now we move forward. But maybe what term is. So we move forward to the items for debate and 12.1 Hannah Lane.
Thanks, guys. Councillors, we now move on to items for debate. The alternate recommendation is on the screen in front of you. Councillor Craig, would you like to move your motion?
I'm moving the alternative recommendation to that of the officer, mainly because we know that in previous...
Councillor Craig, you'd just like to...
Oh, that's what I have to do at the top?
Yep. We got a seconder for Councillor McNish. Councillor Craig, you can speak to your motion now.
One day I'll get this right. The officer's recommendation to reaffix the pot plants is known not to work in the long term, but it is a quick fix for now because we need to protect pedestrians and cyclists. Hannay Lane currently looks chaotic, uninviting and like a forgotten back alleyway and detracts the appeal to visit shops with laneway frontage. This laneway has been identified as a cyclist pedestrian movement hotspot and has had the speed limit reduced to 10 kilometres an hour in recognition of this. The laneway also provides linkage to Rivergum Park and the tranquil setting of the Jutsu Maya, can't say that right, community gathering space and alternative path connection to Gifford Road. The officer's recommendation is for the placement of the potted plants that had been put in place some time ago to create a safe travel path for pedestrians and cyclists from the traffic movement and had since been moved to the placed back to their original location with the intent for more to be added. The opposite intent is to put those pot plants back, but I see this as a short-term solution only. And the true solution would be in more time spent, but we can't do that this financial year. So the alternative recommendation is that which is showing on strain, that we retain and reaffix the pot plants to the dedicated pedestrian and cyclist area path on Hannay Lane as soon as practicable to improve safety and clearly delineate the path as a no parking area. Request the CEO to investigate the following options for the future of Hannay Lane during the 2024-25 financial year. A, retaining two-way traffic flow and constructing a curbed raised footpath. B, one-way traffic flow retaining the at-grade footpath with the potential of an additional loading zone. And C, one-way traffic flow, constructing a curbed raised footpath with the potential of an additional loading zone. And 3, request the CEO to provide a report to the council on the outcome of the above, investigating, including expected costs in advance of the adoption of the 25-26 budget. Listening to Stephen also and knowing the officer who's been involved with this, I know he works very closely with members of the Dunsborough community and knows this area very well. And I know that he will also work with the with that group in putting items 1, 2 and 3 in place. So I'll put that recommendation forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. Councillor McNish, would you like to speak?
Yes, I support Councillor Craig's proposal. I think that Councillor Craig's got a very keen eye on the management of the City of Busselton's facilities and infrastructure because that's her background. And she's looked at this and assessed it. I went down there and had a look, and I concur that currently it's not working. It needs change, or it needs consideration of change, because there could be improvements. The planter boxes, okay, short term, we need to improve the safety. They need to be fixed so they can't be moved. Okay, the colours are good, the greenery is good. I'm glad to hear that. It's mainly the traffic that I'm concerned about because of the narrowing. I think, 5.2 metres wide at one point, ranging to 5.8, with pedestrians, dogs, kids, tourists, delivery trucks, and two-way traffic, to me is a recipe for disaster. So that needs, I mean, we have a duty of care. I know the delivery guys have to do their job, but we have to do our job in ensuring a duty of care to the full spectrum of users of that precinct. It's a lovely precinct. We don't want to jeopardise it. We just want to make it safer. And if we can do that by having the CEO and the good staff consider these safety matters and what's going to make that place work better for the sake of the year, then let's do that. I commend it to you.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against? Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to maybe just add an amendment to this motion, being that we don't limit these options, and possibly explore option 4, as Mr. McConville suggested. Yeah, it seems like a tricky space, and I think we should look at all options. So not sure.
So you're moving an amendment?
Yeah, yes, I'd like to move an amendment. Yeah, I get it. Remove. I think it already is a multi-shared space, but I guess something that just identifies that the pots could be removed and into the removal of pots. Could we even have, at the top there, request the CEO to investigate the following options, then in brackets, but not limited to? Would that be suffice to cover anything?
It's a little bit broad, I think.
Okay.
Sure. CEO would like to say something. Councillor Kennedy, would you like
Yeah,
to sit down
I'd
for a
love
second?
Thank you. Thanks, Madam Chair. If I could, just a point of clarification. So in that point D that you're proposing as an amendment, are you suggesting another, I understand that not limited to, so the concern I'd have around that one added in there is how far do we go with what we investigate? So I imagine there could be a multitude of treatments that we could look at for how we tackle that. Point D, removal of, is that all pots or some, or what are we looking at there?
I guess it was just not limited because in the initial consultation, two-way traffic was a problem, one-way traffic was a problem. You know, having the footpath there, not being able to drive was a problem. So is there an option to remove the footpath and the pot plants in the redesign of the road? Is the direction I was heading. However,
East, what side is it? Southern side.
yeah,
Are they round pots or square?
I'm also happy to not proceed and see how those.
What about if we say something like the removal of the offending pots or something?
No, I'm happy to just leave it, I think, yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm happy to leave it and just, see what the investigation comes up with.
The CEO has a suggestion.
Councillor, can the perhaps opportunities to review pots and their location might allow, which could mean removal of all, shuffling. I think from what I got from Mr McConville was around that some might be okay in some spots but not in others, etc. That's why some of them were shifted in the first place. I think that was sort of what I got from his presentation earlier. So maybe review of the location of the pots, or review of the pots and their location. And that way you could, with that review, you might want to remove some.
Actually, I think more to the point, it was maybe investigating. You just don't want a footpath there,
Well-
like a dedicated footpath.
Councillor Kennedy,
But, no, I'm
you're
happy.
entering into debate.
Sorry, yeah.
And so we need to
I'm happy with the
shut
CEOs.
this down.
Yep.
But I think that your intention is clear, and it's to do with the pots that are causing problems. And I think if you're moving that, do we have a seconder for that amendment?
Yes, that's on
Through the
screen is
chair,
good.
is the but not limited to supposed to still be there?
No. Thank you.
Question.
So you're happy with that? And do I have a seconder?
I want to ask a question.
Question,
Question, if
councillor
I may.
McNish?
My question is, do I have to stand for a question?
Yes,
Okay.
I said.
Requesting the CEO to provide a report, would the CEO assure us that in his research or with his staff doing the research that into the, like doing a due diligence, they would be observing what was happening there over a day or two, and reporting that back and having a chat to the local coffee shop grinder owner as part of the research in putting that report back to us, taking into account those different sort of things? Do you feel limited? I mean, would you do that?
Sounds like a good option to do, to look at, to help inform of what that review would be. And I think some of that review, like actual observation, was carried out in the first part of the trial that went ahead, is my understanding. So we could do similar.
Yeah, we did 2 video trials before and after. We'd in all likelihood do another one at least, and we'd in all likelihood do some further form of consultation.
And I have a question, if I may, Mr CEO. When will this report be done? Because I have a problem with point 1 being reaffixing those pot plants, which appear to be the cause of the problems at the start. If they are put back into place and then we have a report come to us in, 3 months or whatever, I'm sure that the tenants would feel comforted knowing that there is a report following, but that we have to be aware of all the issues associated with accidents and children, as Councillor McNish said. So what would be the time frame of this report coming back to us?
Yeah, I think with it being an alternative recommendation, I don't think the staff have really had the opportunity to look at how they would put this out at this point, but I would imagine them to take a few months for assessment, review, to bring back to the council. I imagine you'd also want to capture some of those busy periods in your review.
With the current workload, the idea initially was to come back with the detail prior to the budget adoption, so we could actually provide funding one way or another if we needed additional funding. It would be at least 6 months' work, just on the basis of additional workload that we've got at the moment as well.
Okay. Councillor Kennedy. We need a seconder for your amendment. Is there somebody willing to be a seconder?
Oh, well, I was also going to question whether, point
You're
3.
asking a question? You're asking a question.
Am I? Yeah, I'm happy with that amendment. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And would you like to ask a question?
No.
Okay, thank you. So you're moving your amendment
Yes.
on the screen?
Yes.
Do I have a seconder? If there is no seconder, it will lapse. Do I have a speaker for?
Sit it down.
Speaker against?
So just to clarify, so the amendment has lapsed,
Mm-hmm.
and the speaker for the officer recommendation, which is on the screen.
Speaker for the officer recommendation? Speaker against? Seconder, Councillor McNish, would you like to? You've spoken. Councillor Cagg, your right of reply.
As currently shown on screen, I'd like to move that alternative recommendation, and in regard to the pots, we need to do something immediately to protect that area for cyclists and foot traffic, and I believe that that will improve the safety regardless of whether people think there's a lot of people walking along there or not. It's already been proven in the fact that it's gone down to 10 k's an hour, the traffic, so as I've shown on the screen.
I put the motion. All those in favour? And that is carried 7-0. I now move to item 16.1, notice of motion. Councillor McNish, would you like to move your motion?
Move as written, thank you.
I'd like to second the motion, and I have an amendment which I'd like to move.
So you need to move your amendment speaking to
Yep.
Richard's.
Yep. Yes. Councillor McNish, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, once I get it up. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a sport and rec lover. I admit that. And I believe that it's a huge component of our community who have made their voice, their opinion known through the survey, that they're looking for sport and recreation facilities with some certainty going into the future, well into the future. Establishing a fund can only facilitate the good planning and the good governance in relation to the city's provision of sport and recreation services into the future. Now, the matter of the amount. The currently proposed balanced budget rate increase of 6% accounts for CPI at 3.4% and a partial catch-up percentage, being the balance of 2.6%, due to the nominal rating gap to CPI of 4.26% over the last 5 years. So we're still catching up. But we're doing pretty well in being able to balance the budget at 6 plus add another 2% for sport and rec. To put that in perspective, our saltwater, our commitment to arts and culture in that major and significant icon project at the end of the main street is equating, that project is equating to approximately 2.3% of rates income in the projected year. So there's your perspective. It's on a par. Now, while the cost of living pressures have been experienced by everyone out there, similarly, for this local government, we are not immune because of our labour and materials costs, and they've increased just like everyone else's. In the last 5 years, land values in the district have increased by nearly 50%, resulting in a windfall of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity to those land owners, those people fortunate to own land in this district. and who presumably will be having families and will be enjoying or needing to enjoy sport and recreation facilities well into the future. So I think the calculation was somewhere in the order of $50 on average for the residential rates bill to come up with this. Sorry, Director Pearson, was that a 1% or a 2%?
Sorry, can I just get you to...
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't clear on whether the $56 was the average rate increase payable for a 1% or a 2% rating increase to fund this reserve, because I am aware that the councillors have of a strong mind to allocate 1%. I'm asking for 2% because of the community, their need and their desire is expressed very, very strongly. We are the events capital of the Southwest, and we've ridden on the back of that, and we need to do so well into the future as well. We have the GLC and other sporting ovals and facilities that are tied, and we're looking at an estimated, from a recent independent study, $107 million is required to be funding these district-level sport and recreation facilities. Now, we cannot do that alone. So we have to show a strong commitment to the other levels of government so that they will contribute, and arguably the private sector in time. But we have to start somewhere. We have to start now. We have to start strong. And 2% in the context of what I've just talked about, 50 odd bucks, is not too much to ask, I believe. I'm mindful that there's an amendment almost ready to flow, and I'll be interested to see if that looks to A, establish the reserve, and B, get money flowing into it straight away. So I ideally would love you to, the council to vote for 2% and go forward on that basis, but I look forward to the establishment of the reserve, very important reserve, and for money to start flowing into it immediately, with some guarantee of that money flowing going forward in the long-term financial plan. Thank you.
As the seconder, I'd like to speak, and is it possible to get my amendment up on the screen? I'll give you a minute or so just to read that amendment. Councillors, I applaud Councillor McNish's endeavours to fund the Sport and Rec Facilities Fund. I know that the previous mayor was wanting to develop a fund, and as such, we need to get it off the ground. During the election, we heard, when are we going to get a 50-metre pool? When are we going to get new sporting facilities? Everybody wants. And we heard it loud and clear during the survey that sport and rec is a high priority. This is an opportunity to use some of the rates which are surplus to what we can spend each year to be squirreled away into this reserve to show the community that we are listening. We must show good faith, and this is a step in the right direction to showing that good faith. Councillors, I know the community are hurting, and another 1% rate rise, as suggested by Councillor McNish, on top of the 7% that we have suggested, is not palatable for me, but it can be justified as we're also the subject of cost increases also we have rises in water, electricity, and all the other things that a household has to bear. We have them too. We must, however, sharpen our pencil and squirrel away as much as we can in an effort to get the ball rolling, pun intended, on the sport and rec planning. I commend this amendment to you with a view to actually squirreling away those funds and paying homage to the community who said that that's a high priority for them. Thank you. Do I have a speaker against? Oh, sorry, do I have a seconder for my... Councillor McNish, would you agree to be the seconder of that? Or do I have a seconder for that motion elsewhere? Councillor Richards. Okay. No, I'm happy to speak. Yeah. Councillor Richards, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I just would like to reiterate what you said, and I commend Councillor McNish's motion, and I agree that 2% into the fund is showing commitment that council are moving to make this happen because this is what the community want. But I agree that 2% rates in this climate is unpalatable with the cost of living, with the 7% rate rise that's coming anyway. That we can be prudent in other aspects of the organisation and be able to source funds without putting the impost onto the ratepayers at this particular time. We may want to review that in a year's time once we see the status of the reserve and how it's building up. But cost of living is real, and like you say, the power, the electricity, but our fuel bill for the city of Busselton has gone up exponentially. So we need to be able to cover costs. We need to be able to recover from previous times when we haven't, during COVID, when we didn't put rates up and we're still catching up. But we don't need to put the entire impost on the ratepayers. So yes, I support your alternate.
Thank you, Councillor Richards. Do I have a speaker against? Speaker for? So we now go to the substantive.
No, so you have a right of reply if you want
Oh.
to. And then you put the amendment to a vote, so the amendment is put and either carried or lost.
I don't think I need to speak any further on this. I think the intent is in the amendment. Thank you. So I put the motion or the amendment. All those in favour? That is carried 7-0.
So this becomes the substantive amendment and you're up to a speaker against.
So this motion now becomes a substantive motion. Do I have a speaker against? Speaker for? All those in favour? I put the motion. Oh, sorry, I was going to give you your right of reply. Sorry, Councillor McNish.
Well played, Councillor Ryan, and I look forward to lots of money flowing into that reserve. Thank you.
Sorry for preempting you, Councillor McNish. I put the motion. All those in favour? That motion is carried. Thank you. So there are no items of urgent business, but councillors and members of the public, we do have some confidential items. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the room. And I sincerely appreciate your efforts to come out tonight and attend the council meeting. Thank you. So I'll need a motion to close the meeting. Councillors, Councillor Richards, do I have a seconder? Councillor Kennedy? All those in favour? That motion is carried 7. Okay, I'm now going to read out the two, should I read the first one first? Item 18.2. Yep. That the council endorses the single-year funding allocation of $10,000 cash towards the event proposal that is subject of this report. And item 18.3, that the council, 1, agrees to request the proposal from the South West Development Commission to deliver the Innovative Industries Forum in partnership with the City of Bunbury to further attract economic development opportunities for the City of Busselton and surrounding regions. 2, agree to provide the following contribution to the South West Development Commission to deliver the, I think there's a typo there, deliver to the Innovative Industries Forum as follows. A, $50,000 in the 2024-25 financial year, and B, $150,000 in the 2025-26 financial year. 3, the contribution in 2A and 2B is conditional upon the South West Development Commission agreeing to conduct a study at its cost, assessing the employment opportunities and economic development benefits of matters raised in the forum, broadly and specifically in relation to the Busselton Margaret River Airport. This shall include, but not be limited to, transport to and from the airport, logistics and timing of future industry development and identification of government assistance via strategy, programs and funding. 4, the contribution in 2B is conditional upon consideration of a detailed assessment of the success, in brackets or otherwise, of the forum prepared objectively by the South West Development Commission and presented orally and in written form prior to the end of March 2025. And 5, thanks the South West Development Commission for its offer to be involved and requests the CEO to suggest future such forums could be held in the City of Busselton, given its growth rate will make it the largest regional district in WA. That was a mouthful. And councillors, thank you for your attendance. The next ordinary council meeting will be on Wednesday, 31 July. I now declare the meeting closed at 7:21. Thank you.